2024. It's a Sunday, and for my fellow French compatriots, joyeux 14 juillet. Right? I hope everybody who is French or having a holiday in France is enjoying a wonderful French Independence Day. That said, for my fellow Americans, there's obviously an elephant in the room to address, and I don't mean that as a political pun or anything like that. I mean there's a big obvious issue that's happening, and that is the terrible events that happened yesterday in Butler, Pennsylvania, when former President Trump was shot, or was wounded by a shot fired by apparently an assassin, or a would-be assassin, or actually an assassin, because apparently he did in fact cause the death of at least one person who was attending the rally. It was a political rally in a rural area of Pennsylvania, and he wounded at least one or two other people at the rally. So my heart goes out, and my sympathies and condolences for the loved ones and families of the dead and wounded. It's a horrible, horrible event, and it reminds us all that in politics there is obviously no place for violence. It should not be tolerable or acceptable in American politics or any other place for that matter. Right? Violence against anyone is a terrible thing and should be condemned. And whoever uses violence, especially in such a manner, shooting at people, should face the consequences. And obviously the suspected shooter has since been neutralized, as they say, right, by the Secret Service snipers or Special Forces snipers or whoever it was that actually did that and made sure that he was no longer a threat. And now the investigation ensues. And it's important to remember not to jump to conclusions. Of course, you already have people doing exactly that from the very minute that this story broke, and they're just drumming more of the beat of division, which is tearing the country apart at the seams. And I don't really care which side of the political aisle you fall on. You should be against violence and division in the United States. We can all have different opinions. What matters is that we remain united as a people. Otherwise, the great American experiment could well collapse, and we don't want that. If we love our country, nobody would want that if they love their country, no matter what country they belong to, or they grew up in, or moved to, or anything. It is absolutely a terrible event that happened, and I hope that cooler heads will prevail and that the truth will come out about what happened, exactly how it happened, who done it, and all that. All these questions that need to be answered and should be answered. At the same time, should not lead to more violence, but if anything, should turn this horrible event, absolutely horrible event, unacceptable event, into more than just another event where we say, thoughts and prayers. Yes, thoughts and prayers do go to the loved ones of those hurt and to those injured who now have to recover from their injuries, including the former president and the people who were attending his rally, and even the family of the shooter, who probably are feeling awful at this moment for whatever that man did, supposedly. And I don't say that to make light of it or to give sympathy to the shooter, absolutely not. But his family are people, and I sincerely doubt that they would have approved of this thing that he did. And if they did, well, then they'll have consequences to face too. But if like in most cases, this surprised them just as much as it surprised everyone else, well then they've lost a loved one or a member of their family too, and they also have a right to grieve. But of course, for the victims who had absolutely nothing to do with this, the people who were in the stands, and even the former president, this is just absolutely horrendous what happened. And before people go blaming one side or the other, first of all, this isn't about one side versus the other on a political discourse. This is an absolutely horrendous criminal act that took the life of a perfectly innocent person who was just attending a political rally in support of a candidate that they want to vote for, or that they wanted to vote for. And now they'll never get that chance. And someone else, other people got wounded. It's just a terrible blemish we should learn from, right? It is, as is often said, a teachable moment, right? And it really is. Like, for too long, people have been divided. For too long, people have been cast into separate groups, divided by teams or parties, made to think that they're better than the other. The whole other thing is just another way of dehumanizing your opponent. Well, your opponent is also your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your daughter, your niece, your aunt, whatever, your grandma, your grandpa. They're all other to you individually, but we're all the same. We're all human. We shouldn't be fighting, least of all physically, and certainly not about matters of public discourse like politics. It's absolutely unacceptable behavior, and nobody should condone this in any way, shape, or form. And before people start jumping on who's to blame and all that stuff, the investigators need to investigate and to determine the facts. And then once the facts are known, people can have whatever opinions they want about the facts, but we don't even know all the facts yet. We have some very basic information, and it's not worth wrecking your head over it. What's important is to remember we're all human, and we should all work to restore the love between humanity, and not to keep beating the drum of division and using violence to increase that division, because that doesn't lead to a better world. If we want a better world for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren, then we have to make it a better world. And we'll never do that by just spewing more hatred and vitriol and inane party ideas, party politics, and extreme ideologies one way or the other. I hate this, I hate that, the media did it, the government did it. It's all nonsense. This is stuff that affects real people's lives. This is stuff that has ended someone's life. And people's lives are ended every day by gunfire and other horrible things in America and elsewhere. It's time we take a closer look and be more introspective and not do the kind of things that led to this horrible series of events, and actually show some compassion for our fellow human beings, no matter what their political stripes are. And if we want to be better people, we have to come together and be as one. And that's it, folks. I love you all. Peace.